All right, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Right after UFC 262, filming this the night that it actually happened, rather than doing it the next day like I've done in the past. I think that'll be a little bit better as things are fresh in my mind. We'll start on the prelims. It's hard not to talk about the main event and co-main event, but we'll start on the prelims and we'll go from there. So pretty exciting start to the night. Quick submission win for Christos Giagos. It was a tough night for the Michael Chandler sort of team. Sean Soriano was Michael Chandler teammate. Got called back to the UFC. He'd actually competed several years ago. Kind of a really cool story, but just outmatched tonight. Quick submission win, got locked in that choke in the early second round and choked him unconscious. The second fight, Tucker Lutz winning by unanimous decision, definitely won the fight. Looked really, really powerful and ahead of Kevin Aguilera for the first two rounds, and then sort of gassed out towards the end. So if there's anything to take away in terms of Tucker Lutz and improvement and things that maybe are unchecked, I guess it'd be the gas tank, right? So next fight, Gina Mazzani versus Priscilla Cacochera. This was a really weird fight. Gina looked in control rounds one and most of round two. Was definitely winning the fight, scoring takedowns, winning, some striking exchanges, but, towards the end ended up getting tagged and just, covered up and Priscilla, proceeded to knock her out. It was a little crazy towards the end there as it just all the momentum shifted in a matter of seconds. Jumping to the full prelims, this was maybe the biggest surprise to me of the night. Andrea Lee versus Antonia Shevchenko, obviously sister of champion Valentina Shevchenko. I thought Shevchenko would win this fight. Andrea Lee on a three fight skid, but she looked great. She was able to take Antonina down, stay out of trouble. And then that second round, I mean, she had that sort of, she had the legs around the head of Antonina Shevchenko for what felt like the entire round. I think it was at least 3 minutes, and then ended up locking in the arm triangle at the very, very end. I think there were only a couple seconds left. It looks like 8 seconds as they called it. But wow, what a win for Andrea Lee, back in the win column, and things are looking up. Saw the cowboy hat, got a great rise out of the Houston, Texas crowd. It's only second time with fans back since COVID. So congrats to Andrea. And then Jordan Wright versus Jamie Pickett, which to me and some of my friends, when we were discussing the fight, one of the most interesting fights, because I thought that, Jordan Wright, obviously very talented. I've seen him fight in the past, and I thought he would win the fight. And a lot of my friends who didn't know MMA were sort of looking at the fight and saying, there's no way, he looks like he looks like you or me, or random guy off the street, kind of like tech sales nerdy. And Jamie Pickett looks, like a real serious athlete. He's absolutely jacked. Goes into the octagon, like looking very angry. Jordan Wright smiling before the fight. And then the fight started and things played out rather quickly. I mean, 1 minute and 4 seconds in, Jordan Wright just started striking on the feet and eventually got it to the ground and to continue the ground and pound. But great striking clinic by Jordan Wright. Back in the win column after the Joaquin Buckley knockout. So congratulations to Jordan Wright. I cannot wait to see him fight again. He's now 11-1. The next fight, great fight back and forth, Lando and Mike. Split decision. I would say it's split decision or maybe even a draw. I mean, these guys went back and forth. There was definitely no clear winner, but phenomenal fights between both of them. And then Jacare Souza, geez. At the time when he was submitted in this fight, I didn't know about the arm. I didn't hear the arm pop. But after the replays, I mean, it's just it looked horrific, it sounded horrific, but his reaction was so little. I'm not sure if it was adrenaline or if it's just he's that savage that he just obviously the fight ended, and he was sort of taken out, but not rushed out by any means, able to have a conversation with the doctors. And obviously, like, credit to Andre Muniz, looked great, was able to lock it in. He declared before the fight that he was a better submission artist than Jacare, which everybody sort of laughed at. Even Joe Rogan announced it in the post fight that he thought it was a crazy thing for Muniz to say, but he proved it first round. And for Jacare, I just wonder what's next. I wonder how much heel time he'll need for that. I know that UFC has been letting a lot of veterans go. I mean, they let Overeem go. They let Junior Dos Santos go. So I mean, obviously Diego Sanchez most recently, but I would like to see Jacare go out with a win, but I hope that first and foremost he can recover. And then the main card, absolutely incredible fights. The main card kicked off, and a couple of my friends who weren't familiar with Burgos, I said, this is one that you have to watch. I think a lot of people have heard of Edson Barboza, and definitely hardcores are familiar with Shane Burgos, but not quite everybody. Just spoke to his teammate with an interview. You should go check it out. It's on our channel. Mike Trezano earlier this week. But what a fight. I mean, Edson Barboza came out throwing really, really aggressively, right kicks to the sort of the calf and also the body, and a couple to the head of Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos was weathering the storm for really as long as he could, trading back, popped Edson multiple times where it looked like he was a little wobbly on the feet. I'm not surprised that this did not go to the ground. It was an excellent sort of back and forth fight. And then a really weird delayed knockout where, Shane got tagged, then seemed to be okay, and then seemed to be struggling a little bit, and then, started walking backwards, fell against the cage, and just, Edson Barboza started to pile it on. Edson Barboza in the win column yet again, and looked every bit of 22, not every bit of 35. So he looks like he'll keep fighting for years, and definitely will move up in the rankings after this impressive striking clinic. Even more impressive was the fact that he weathered his own storm of kicks. His shin was profusely bleeding, and he clearly pushed through and was able to get the finish. So I'm excited for his next matchup. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then Caitlin Chookagian versus Vivian Rougeau. This was I guess a back and forth fight. It was pretty competitive. Caitlin was doing a good job in the first round of I think winning the striking exchanges and keeping Rougeau at distance with her legs, as we've seen her do with so many people, with just sort of her pacing, her footwork, but also, of course, her kicks. Maybe the biggest proponent for her. And then Rougeau was able to get her to the ground, and it looked like Chookagian was in a lot of trouble in that second round. Rougeau got her down and then was able to sort of step into like a full mount position, but not able to do much with it. And Chookagian actually stood up that round. So one judge had the contest 30-27. I completely disagree with that. Rougeau had like over 3 minutes of ground time, I think it was, or maybe 2 full minutes of ground time. But either way, she clearly won round 2. And Chookagian clearly won round 1 and round 3, in my opinion. So good contest back and forth. Rougeau was, ranked number 7, and Chookagian was number 2. I wouldn't move either of them, up or down too much. Maybe move Chookagian to number 1 and, Rougeau to number 8, but I wouldn't move them too far back. I mean, it was clear that Chookagian was better, but 2 and 7 seemed to fit them pretty well. And then there was Matt Schnell versus Regueiro Bontirino. And this was an interesting fight because, I mean, it was back and forth. It was very competitive. There weren't a lot of huge moments. I mean, there was not like, crazy amounts of knockdowns or submission attempts or anything. Pretty well fight, for each guy. They're obviously, changing, both of them were changing weight classes. So neither of them ranked in bantamweight, but overall, both of them looked, pretty good. I agree that Bontarine was, had done enough to win. I think that he, deserved the win, but interesting to see who these guys will get paired up with next. Matt Schnell towards the end looked like, the finish might be imminent, but Bontarine was not able to finish it. And then the co-main, there was a lot of speculation, and rightfully so. I mean, what type of Tony Ferguson will we see? And was Beneil Dariush, able to sort of overcome that hurdle of going into, the top tier of the division, top 5, top 6? And he passed with flying colors. Clearly not afraid of, Tony off the back, even though we've seen Tony submit people before. The striking exchanges, he seemed like he was getting the better of Tony, but not afraid to take it to the ground. I think he had over 10 full minutes of control time. A great masterclass put on by Beneil Dariush. It's going to be nearly impossible to finish Tony Ferguson. Certainly of Tony's free will. I mean, he was put in a really, really nasty ankle heel submission, and clearly was grimacing but didn't tap, able to get out of it. The thing I love about Tony, I'll always love it about Tony, is that he doesn't give up. But Beneil Dariush, clearly the better fighter. And now there's a lot of questions for these guys, which I plan to talk about in sort of my lightweight breakdown. But I mean, when you look at both these guys, they're in completely opposite situations, where Tony's now lost 3 in a row. It's kind of like the Tyrone Woodley effect, where he was on such a run, and now it's hard for him to win rounds. I mean, I think he might have won 1 or 2 rounds against Justin Gaethje, maybe with just 1 round, but against Charles Oliveira, I mean, he clearly decisively lost all 3. And then, against Dariush, he lost all 3. So credit to Beneil Dariush. I didn't think he got enough credit fighting Tony Ferguson. I think it's still a very dangerous Tony Ferguson that steps into that octagon. He was clearly fired up for this fight, kicking the octagon before it even got started, fired up even after they're decisively losing the first round, refusing to sort of high five or, shake off after the first round. But Beneil Dariush, I mean, is on a tear. I think that this is his 8th straight win, if I'm not mistaken. He was ranked number 9. Tony was number 5. So number 9 beats number 5. I mean, do you swap them? Do you move Tony down, 6, 7, and move Beneil up to 5, 6? I'm interested to see how the rankings look because of everything that's going on with sort of the lightweight division right now. I don't know who's next for Beneil, but I plan to talk about it when we look at the rankings after we talk about the main event, which was a barn burner from the start. Sort of under 6 minutes of competition between these two, but every second was super interesting. Chandler seemed to tag him. Oliveira took it right to the ground. Chandler seemed comfortable, threatened the guillotine submission. Oliveira popped out. Chandler was able to ride the storm with Oliveira on his back. Actually ended up standing up, slamming Oliveira back down, strengthened the body lock for Oliveira, which Joe Rogan and John Anik commented on, but was still able to actually get up and then tag Oliveira as much as you can be tagged without your lights going out. Had Oliveira sort of on the ground in a grounded position with his knees, just sort of trying to grasp for Chandler's leg. Chandler seemed very comfortable with being with Oliveira on the ground, which was amazing to me. Even though he seemed until the second round like he had the clear advantage on the feet. And then, there was sort of I guess a change in momentum coming out of that first round. Then Oliveira hits him with the with the left hand and follows up with a bunch of shots. Chandler tries to sort of escape and regroup. Oliveira stayed on him and finished the fight. That is not how I saw the fight going in any way, shape, or form. They were talking about the live betting odds and before fight odds, and if you picked Oliveira by knockout in the second round, it was 16 plus 1600. So, yeah, clearly not a lot of other people thought that it would end that way either. I didn't know how this fight was going to end. I thought that it was very possible that Chandler would get Oliveira to the ground and ground and pound him. I thought that Oliveira obviously could submit him in a variety of ways. I thought that standing up, probably Chandler by TKO, but Oliveira proved everybody, including myself, wrong. Congratulations to him. He was fired up after. I'd love to know what he said to Joe Rogan when he jumped over the cage, and Dana White when he jumped over the cage. And it's just amazing when you see someone who has fought, I believe he's fought 28 times in the UFC, finally get to wrap UFC gold around his waist and realize his dreams. It's special, and he was so happy, and I'm so happy for him. I don't think this is the last we've seen of Michael Chandler by any means. He gave a really eloquent, sportsman-like response after the fight, and I think that realistically, he's still, one or two fights away from a title shot. And for Oliveira, I'm really excited to see him, embody being a champion of the UFC and who he'll fight next. So without further ado, let's get into the rankings because we have had some shakeups. So over here in the lightweight division, you can see they actually haven't even updated Charles Oliveira as the champion yet. That's how soon after the fights that I'm recording this. So Charles Oliveira at number 3 is your champion. Zoom in a little bit here. And Justin Gaethje, number 2, Dustin Poirier, number 1. Obviously, Poirier has the matchup on July 10th with Conor McGregor, number 6. Logically, to give the winner of that a title shot, I don't think is out of the question. I think that if Poirier and McGregor, obviously there's going to be about 2 months until that fight, and then depending on how that fight goes, the winner might need some time. I think that if Oliveira is healthy and not in concussion protocol or anything like that, turning him around rather quickly for a title defense against Justin Gaethje would be an incredible fight. I don't think that Gaethje has a fight booked yet. And looking at sort of the fights, Justin Gaethje's number 2, Charles Oliveira, obviously champion. Dustin Poirier tied up. Michael Chandler, just fought. Tony Ferguson just fought. Conor McGregor scheduled. It seems after just a loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov, arguably the best fighter of all time, to force him to fight, number 7 in RDA or number 8 in Dan Hooker. It seems like, something that that doesn't quite fit. I'd like to see him get another title shot, but perhaps that's not in the cards. Obviously, Beneil Dariush at number 9 is going to be moving up a bit, but we'll see where he lands. He said that obviously his wife is having a baby soon, and congratulations to them both. But he said that we won't see him until the end of this year or maybe next year. So that fight's kind of off the table, even if you move Dariush up above RDA and Hooker. So it's going to be really interesting. I think Oliveira is going to have to deal with either the winner of McGregor Poirier or Justin Gaethje next. For Beneil Dariush, I know he's going to take some time off, and it's going to play out in terms of who is in the division and who is not fighting when he comes back. But him versus Michael Chandler would be fun. Him versus RDA would be fun. Even him versus Justin Gaethje, but I don't think Justin Gaethje wants to wait that long. So lightweight, I have long believed, is not only the deepest, but the best division in terms of just the depth of talent. You've got Gregor Gillespie, who we saw last week put on an absolute wrestling clinic and gas tank clinic. The man has cardio for days. At number 12, and his opponent at number 14, Kevin Lee, who's still hanging on and needs to come back in and be active. And, Islam Makhachev, who's slowly working his way up. It doesn't seem like anybody wants to fight him. It's a very, very deep division, and it's only getting better. I think that, Oliveira is clearly, top tier right now, and the best he's looked in his career. But I would not be surprised if this belt rotates quite a bit in the next year, 2 years, 3 years between he, Gaethje, Poirier. If McGregor is able to get through Poirier, McGregor, it's going to be a really, really interesting division. Lightweight is on fire. All right. Well, that is all I've got. We're going to have an interview tomorrow with UFC strawweight Sam Hughes. Very excited for that. And excited to continue, watching great fights, recapping, and speaking with fighters. So if you like what you've heard, please consider subscribing or tossing a like onto the video. Every like and subscribe helps. And until then, we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.